Let's talk about the Just the Tip segment tonight. Welcome to Just the Tip. We're going to talk to our beginners. Like I said, we've had a few more of those lately, Pat. I want to talk through some cash game stuff and a little bit of tournament stuff as well. But like, if you are just starting to play daily fantasy golf, what you should do, what you should expect, where we recommend your money going on DraftKings or FanDuel or wherever you play. We've been doing this 5 years. We got in early. We started doing this. Freaking 2015 when DraftKings first started. We've learned a lot, and the game has changed since we first started playing. So, Pat, I'll let you kind of open us up. Where would you like to start in terms of helping out our beginner friends?
Well, I think anything when you're looking at a beginner. Actually, I think you could start with probably some of the free contests out there. So there's a ton of free contests that DraftKings and whoever else you might play, that they put out there. So it gives you a chance to not lose any money, not have anything on the table, and sort of learn the game, learn the point system, learn all that stuff. You need to read that, by the way. I mean, just read the point system. So that you can figure out, how you gain points and all that kind of stuff, finishing position and all that. So I think, if you're starting out, you want to definitely go for a few weeks playing the free, just those free rolls and whatever else and see what happens. But really it starts with cash. I mean, I think if you're wanting to build a bankroll, you got to start playing your cash games, your double ups, your 50-50s, those kind of things. That is where you're really gonna you've got a better chance, at least, because you only have to beat, for the most part, half the field that you're playing against.
Hang on. Can I pause and just totally swerve here?
Yeah.
I want to do a Xander bet.
Okay, what do you want to do?
Well, what do you think? I mean, you don't think Xander's going to do that well. I do. So we need to do some sort of finish position or DraftKings points or something like that. I think finish position is probably easier to keep track of. And I say that the loser gets the henna tattoo tramp stamp on their back on Monday live on the podcast.
I mean, you're kind of catching me off guard with that. I don't really know.
You don't want to do it? You're scared?
You mean a tramp stamp? Like, is that something like on that goes on your ass or something?
Well, like right above it. Yeah. It's just a temporary henna tattoo, Pat. I mean, how
long does it have to be there?
Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be there that long, but I mean, you know what I mean? Like, you can't, like, go...
You notice I'm picking up and picking up my drink glass more rapidly than normal, which is a lot.
Come on, we've been talking about doing listener bet. We've been talking about doing these bets. Let's do it. What do you think?
I'll roll the dice. I mean, look, I don't hate Xander. I just don't. I think he's going to disappoint a lot of people this week.
All right, top 20.
His odds are probably really good for top 20. I mean, he's probably like 4 or 5 to 1 to top 20 this field or this tournament.
I'll tell you what he is.
Now I'm gonna have to get into it because I'm.
He's got a 46% chance of finishing top 20.
All right, I think that for him, I'm just putting a fade number, like where I feel like I'm happy that I faded him.
Okay, all right.
Would be if he is outside of the top 15. Now, there could be some DraftKings scoring points there that could probably be iffy.
All right, how about...
But I think he finishes outside of the top 15, and I'll bet whatever you want
So
that he does.
So it's T15. So you're saying T16 or worse.
Yes.
Will you give me T17 or worse?
Okay, I'll give you T17 or worse.
T17 or worse. If he finishes T17 or worse, then I am getting the henna tattoo in my tramp stamp mark on the podcast. And if not, then you are. Deal?
Okay, I'll do it. Fine.
We got a bet. Let's go. All right.
Okay.
So back to our cash game. You recommended starting off with a free contest, kind of learning it, reading about the scoring, getting into the cash, blah blah blah. Right?
Yeah. Then I think you definitely go with your if you're playing a smaller amount, you go with your $5, your $10, your $25 double ups. I mean, we like seeing green screens. I don't care if it's in a tournament or what it's in. If I'm seeing my money doubled or whatever, I'm loving it. So don't. I think being tempted by the big money that's in the tournaments and all that kind of stuff is a mistake, especially when you're just starting out. I mean, just try to slowly grow that bankroll. Play those $5, $10, $25 double ups. See how you do, and then get into the tournaments. Once you get all that up there, you get up, get a higher bankroll and that kind of stuff. And then if I'm going into the tournament, so I'm going to start with, I think you play the single entries. There's a $5 single entry that's pretty big. There's a $12. There's a $33 single entry that's big. I think those are the ones that you play in when it comes to the tournaments, because that $5, $100,000 to first is fun to play, and I always put a few entries in there just because I just feel like I like to have some entries in there, and I think that, and there's always a chance you could win. You never know, but you're in with the sharks there. You're in with the guys that are maxing out, 150 entries and that kind of stuff. So if you want to start with a tournament that is got a decent prize for first, I like that 20 max $3 tournament. I think that's a good one to play in, because it's $60. You're maxing out only at 20 entries, so I think the playing field's leveled a little bit compared to the sharks that are out there. So that's what I would say as far as some of the contests are concerned when you're a beginner, whether it's cash, GPP, and kind of ramble a little bit, but there you
go. Yeah. So I think, I agree. I mean, I agree. You gotta start. I guess the biggest fear is that if you're starting in this, you're gonna lose interest. You're gonna be discouraged. You're gonna be deleting the app too quickly if you don't give yourself a chance to see the green screens, right? To see the screens light up green and win some money. And that's the thing. Like, you need to start there. And if you jump in there because you're excited about the prize pool or whatever, everybody needs to know that there are a lot of sharp players out there. There are a lot of sharp players in all kind of contests. 5 years ago when we first started, that was not the case. There were very few and far between. We didn't have the data that we have. You didn't have the number of podcasts and blogs and YouTube videos and all the tool sites and all this kind of stuff, right? You didn't have any of that. But now there are a lot of people that know a lot of information, and so if you don't want to we just don't want you to get discouraged. So that's why we encourage you starting in the cash world, because you're more likely to, as you learn the game week by week and you understand the ebbs and flows of the scoring, and you start to realize, lineup construction stuff where you're like, okay, maybe I shouldn't approach lineup construction this way or that way. As you start to learn those things, you at least give yourself, a chance to finish in the top 40 to 45% of a cash contest and double your money. But a couple of other things to know, like right off the bat, even the pros, even the sharps, and we know a lot of them. We talk to a lot of them. We know a lot of them. They lose more weeks than they win. They seriously do. They lose more weeks than they win. You're only going to see the screenshots on Twitter on the weeks they win. And even sometimes those screenshots are deceiving because they're not showing you what they put in. we are losing more weeks than we win. Okay, no matter the contest that you pick, it's a hard game, and like I said, so many people know so much information, so you need to know that going in. Um, I don't mind if you want to start out in some tournaments, some low cost tournaments as well. Pat mentioned the $3 20 max. You know, that's a fine tournament if you want. Just know that like the more entries in a GPP in a tournament, the more entries, the more perfect that lineup's got to be to finish in that top 5 spots, that top 0.5%. The more perfect that lineup's got to be. Those 150 max entry tournaments, there's a lot of sharps that are buying up all those 150 max entries, and they have a statistical advantage when they do that, and so you lose your edge there as well. Now, in terms of cash, though, Pat, like what's our golden rule when it comes to playing cash games, whether you're playing double ups or 50-50s or head-to-heads? What is our golden rule that we tell everybody in cash?
Well, the golden rule is, well, for me, I don't know, you're putting me on the spot here, but you want a guy that makes the damn cut.
Yes, that's it.
So that is it. And so you tend to want to, you need to play more balanced type lineups. You don't need to take risks taking those 6K guys. I mean, there's a reason they're down in that range. You could even look at their odds compared to what their price is. I mean, that is, you've got to get 6 of 6 through in those cash lineups. So some weeks you can cash with 5 of 6, but for the most part, yes, got to make the cut.
Yep. So first of all, let's say this too about head-to-heads. We do not recommend if you're starting out you play a head-to-head. Most of the head-to-heads, even though you think, oh, I can beat one person, most of the head-to-head games out there are also sharps. Now, I do think DraftKings will match you with players of your skill set, but I would just say let's just not mess with that. Let's not play the head-to-heads. Actually, if you're listening to this podcast and you're already out there seeking information that would help you, that would help you be better at DFS or golf betting. So, to me, if you're going to play a 50-50 or a double up, play the largest ones you can find. So if you want to play $25, then play the biggest double up for $25 you can find, because the more entries, the more variance, and the more likely you are, because you're one coming to us or other sources seeking out good information, whereas other people may just be flippantly throwing something in there and they have no clue what they're doing. You get more of those the larger the cash contest. So I would say play 50-50s, play double ups, and play the biggest ones that you can play for whatever entry amounts you want to do. And then it is exactly what Pat said. Only worry about getting 6 players through the cut. That's it. And this is something we've talked about in a couple of videos we've done lately. It is very tempting to want to play Rory in cash, or let's look at this week, or Fleetwood. He's playing so good, I got to have Fleetwood in cash. You can do that.
You're squeezing yourself out of being able to play guys that have way better chances of making the cut if you do that.
Looking back over the last 5 years of doing this, statistically, guys that are priced in that 7,500 and above range are way more likely to. Now, do we find values below 7,500? 100%, yes, we do. But statistically, the reason they are there is based on Vegas odds and implied odds, and so at 7,500 or above, those are your guys that are more likely to make the cut. So having a very balanced, well-rounded lineup, when we say balanced lineup, that is what we're talking about. You cannot get suckered into playing those guys up top that are then going to make you dip into the $7,100, the $6,800 range. It'll hit every now and then, but over the long term, that is not going to be the strategy that you need. Remember, in cash and 50-50s and double ups, it doesn't matter if you finish first in the whole contest or you're the last person in the payout zone, you get the same amount of money. So you don't have to have Rory. You don't have to have Fleetwood. I'm using this week as an example. You don't have to have all that. You just need 6 guys to make the cut. And unless it's a no-cut event, probably 97 times out of 100, if you get 6 of 6 through the cut in a cash contest, you are going to cash. In a story. You get 5 of 6, it's iffy. You get 4 of 6, you can forget it. So the biggest number one thing if you're just starting out, go play in a large cash double up or 50-50 and go balanced and just forget the top 4 or 5 guys. You don't need them. Just stay balanced. Go balanced approach. And
that being said, I still think if you've got like a cash lineup that you love or whatever, or you're playing in multiple type double ups or 50-50s, you got to at least spend the $5 to throw it into the big tournament. Just do it, because you will be kicking yourself if that lineup just happens to just absolutely kill it and you didn't put it in a tournament lineup. So I think, and you don't spend a lot, but you got to be disciplined about that. Just pick your favorite one, throw it in there into a tournament, and then just see what happens. But I think that's important as well.
That's true. That was a hard lesson that I think Pat learned early on. I learned
very early on.
You end up building a cash lineup that is literally the nuts, and it basically doubles you up. And then you go back on Sunday and you realize what it would have done had you put it in a tournament. And you're gonna not be happy. So at minimum, take that lineup and throw it in the $1, the $2, the $3, the whatever. It doesn't matter what tournament you want to throw it in, but put it somewhere. So that you can, you won't be, super upset. But yeah, and then after that, as you dabble into tournaments, because listen, here's the other thing: playing cash contests aren't that fun, like long term. To me, they're not. To me, they're not.
Well, because everybody wants the big payday. It's like when you're playing roulette or whatever. You want to hit your number. You want your number to hit.
Yeah.
You don't want to. Yeah. You don't want to hit, black or red, which is 50-50 basically. You want to hit the number and hit 36-1, which is what you're looking at for these tournaments. So, eventually, I think that's where you want to get to, and you want to play those, and you want to do that. But if you're just starting out, it's a losing venture.
But as you get bored with it, and you have somewhat of a bankroll or whatever, and you want to start getting into tournaments, couldn't agree more. Single entries, 3 max entries, those are the way to go. Just stick with those, and go from there. So, good stuff, Pat. Hopefully that gave some of our new listeners, new players, a little bit of insight. We don't want you to waste your money, and we don't want you to get bored with it. We want you to enjoy it. We want you to win some money, win some weeks. That's what keeps you coming back. And, if you keep doing that, then hopefully you keep coming to us. So I think that does it, Pat. The next time we do this podcast, you and I will be in person, and it will be the week of the players, and it will be very, very good. And hopefully we have come off some green screens for the Arnold Palmer Invitational, and we'll have a bigger bankroll for next week. We'll just blow it.
Looking forward to it. I might have to play some cash this week. I feel like I've talked myself into playing a little more cash than I typically do, so we'll see.
Nice. Okay. Well, we got to do the DraftKings After Dark show over on YouTube, so let's go. Let's go knock that out. Everybody needs to go check that out if you haven't already. And, thanks for listening. May your screens be green. See ya!
Out!
Bonus time on YouTube. Bonus time. Listen, our boy Wes Bearden was throwing cheddar all over the place tonight. We made some money tonight, Pat. I felt like a stripper. I felt like a stripper, just people tossing dollars. Wes Bearden is like the high roller in the strip club right now. Just throwing dollars everywhere, asking questions. It was very good. Thank you, Wes. Pat, Wes would like to know, do you prefer hand building your lineups or optimizers for your lineups?
Hand building.
Yeah, he likes the hand job.
I did do. I used the Fantasy National lineup builder last week for the We just talked about the $3.20 max, and I pretty much broke even in it, so it didn't really. I can't say it was that great, but
yeah. All right. Shout out to Adam Olstead. He also gave us a little bit of chatter too after bitching about it for a minute. So thanks to him. Yeah, this is weird. Just getting that thrown out. What else, Pat? Anything else? You good, bud?
I can't see any of the comments, so how am I supposed to know what?
Well, I'm just saying, like in general.
The new setup that I have is very annoying. Like, I wish that I could have my camera be my.
You will very soon. You will very soon.
Because it's so weird with you down here and the camera up here. Like, I'm like trying to look to see what you're saying, and then look at the camera. Because you texted me and you were like, "Hey, look at the camera more." I'm like, I'm trying to look at you, but the camera's right here. So like you try this. Like, this is very difficult.
So let me ask you this, because I told the folks, I said, hey, you could, you don't have to feel pressure to give to this whatever this YouTube super chat is, because apparently someone said YouTube takes 30% of the money, and we also don't know how we get it. But I did say they could go to the Tour Junkies shop and buy some swag and put you to work. Do you? What's our inventory looking like? What do we have a lot of that people need to buy? We got the good. We have the good shirts up in the store, right? People need to buy those.
Good shirts. We got a lot of the Addict sweatshirts.
Why are people not buying those? Those things are freaking awesome.
Buy the sweatshirt. Hey, Patrick Reed's probably going to make the Ryder Cup. Buy the Patrick Reed shirt. We had somebody buy it the other day. I shipped it out.
Yes. The Patrick Reed God.
Now, I will say this.
Captain America shirt.
I had some direct messages from the Nut Hut, and hang on, I'm just trying to send you the recording here. They're ready for some new shit in the store, and let me just tell folks out there that we are working on it. Some really good stuff and really cool stuff. I'm talking. Can I mention it?
Yeah.
I'm talking head covers. I'm talking polos.
Socks.
I'm talking socks. I mean, everything. So it's coming. So there's going to be some really cool stuff. So you guys that are in the Nut Hut that get the discount are going to be loving that when it happens. But right now it just hasn't happened yet. But look, it takes some time. Look, be patient. We got some seriously impatient listeners and Nut Hutters. And I love you. I love all you Nut Hutters. But be patient. Damn.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, and if you're a Nut Hutter, don't ask for an extra discount. Like, that's just rote. That's rote. You already get 20% off. The discount, by the way, is built in. So if you're a Nut Hut member and you're logged in and you go to the shop, the discount's already there. You don't have to have a promo code, none of that. It's already built in. It's pretty cool. So, all right, Pat, I think that wraps us up. I think it's time to go do our thing. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you. Love the bonus time. You guys are the best. Let me leave you with this.
What, fart?
No, not a fart, Pat. Not a fart.